What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Tanner Farmstead podcast. I'm excited for our guest today, Michael Bell with Dallas Half Acre Farms. And Michael was actually the first person I talked to about farming back in 2019. So really excited to have you on, and thanks for taking the time to come on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's been fun to watch you grow over the last 5 years from your farm all the way up to your Instagram and your YouTube stuff, man. It's been awesome to watch.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate the encouragement, man. Well, fill us in a little bit. You've got a unique, I think a pretty unique farm and unique story, because I think most people that are farming don't also have a full-time job. And so fill us in a little bit, just kind of where you're farming, how much space you have in production, and kind of what are your main crops that you're focusing on.
So I teach elementary PE full time in Mesquite. It's a suburb of Dallas. I've been doing that 23 years. I've got 6 years left till I retire, and then I'll farm full time. Um, and that's the main reason why I'm not farming full time now, is because I'm so close to retirement. I'd be an idiot to throw away a $3,000 paycheck for the rest of my life for 5 or 6 years. So I teach full time, and then my farm is located in the Dallas city limits, technically, but I can hit a golf ball and be in four different other towns, depending on which direction I hit the golf ball. So it's right there on the Mesquite, Dallas, Siegelville kind of town line. And I grow it's actually 0.39 acres. It's not even a half acre. But and I have basically 930-foot beds in production. And well, I won't say in production. They could all be in production if I had the time to take care of all of that.
Yeah.
But I don't. So what I try to do is do about half of it in production and the other half in a cover crop. And then every half year I switch the beds. So like right now I've got, 5 beds that are in winter cover crop that I'm killing right now. They're tarped that had a good 14 seed variety cover crop mix on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just tried to kill it with just tarps. I weeded a couple beds that were really tall, so to just kind of help kill it faster. And then so that's under cover crop, and the other 4 beds that I have are in production of lettuce, carrots. Didn't do as well as I'd hoped because it was so damn hot in September. I just had really bad germination. So I've gone back and replanted, and then I haven't had a good carrot season. I'll just leave it at that. So I've got carrots, lettuce, and then surprisingly, one of my best crops I've had success with this year was selling more so, or what I call spring onions. Um, they're not the big onions. I let them get a little bit bigger than my thumb.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but the greens is what's the big thing. My customers love the greens. I let them get real tall. Usually they don't have any wind damage, so they're usually straight. People cut them up and use them for chives or whatever. And that's been one of my, next to salad, my best seller
Really?
uh, for the spring. And then I also have a little bit of collard greens that I sell pretty regularly to a certain group of people. And then I have blue leaf curly kale that I sell again to just a few people, but they're consistent with it. So I don't mind growing it if I know that I've got 8 or 9 people that's going to buy it every week or every other week.
Yep.
So those are the main crops I've got in the ground right now. I'm gearing up right now for, of course, tomatoes. Got almost 300 tomatoes out in the tough shed that I call my grow room under lights right now. I'm still potting those up. I potted up a bunch today, actually. Got about another 75 to pot up probably the next week or two, and I'll get those in the ground probably the middle of March, third week of March.
That's a lot of tomatoes.
They're all sun golds too.
Are they really? Well, dude,
Yep.
I love the sun gold. I mean,
And so my customers.
yeah, people love them because you can't find them in the grocery store because they're not. I guess from my understanding, they're not. It's not a tomato that they can ship because it splits too easily.
Yep. And it doesn't last as long. Like it's not a long lasting one either. Like I think it gets kind of wilty. I don't know what the word is for a wilted tomato, but
It makes sense because even I feel like when I put them up in the farm store fridge, it's like after a week, You know, some of them kind of start to split, which I know you're not technically not supposed to put them in the refrigerator, but it's like I'm not going to put them in a hot shed because our
Yeah, 110 degrees.
stuff is cold or whatever. But um, yeah, I love the people go nuts for those sun golds, man. I can't.
I tell you, it actually kind of screwed me in a way because my customers don't want anything else. Like literally, I'll take them. Like last year, I did a black cherry and just a couple of large, like a large cherry variety, and I'd put them in the bag, you know, with the sun golds, and I'd get a text, "Hey, can I just get the orange ones next week?" So this year, I was like, "Screw it," you know. I'm going to plant a few for my family and a couple of people, you know, but 95% of them are just straight sun golds.
Yeah, we're just doing sun gold and Valentine, which I've never done the Valentine, but uh, Ray was saying uh, he said those they set fruit really well even in the heat. So I don't know, we'll see. Which is just like a
I'll
red cherry, I think.
I'll be buying Valentine tomorrow then. I'm
Yeah,
gonna get online and buy some Valentine. They do
because
well in the heat.
I was doing super sweet 100 and then sun gold, and then I would mix it in a pint so they'd get the red and orange.
Mhm.
And, I had a little consulting call with him because I was going over my crop plan a few months ago, and he was like, "Dude, I would get a Valentine if you're gonna do a red cherry." But man, those tomatoes, dude, people just love them. It's crazy.
That's probably the biggest. That's probably the crop that has the biggest difference in taste from the grocery store.
Yes, I agree.
There's just nothing better. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've said this for 6 years now. My kids eat them for dessert.
You can. It's
My 7-year-old and my 11-year-old is like, Daddy, do we have tomatoes? I'm like, no, honey, it's December. I don't
yeah.
have tomatoes. But as soon as they start coming off, I have to hide them or else they'll eat a pint or two for dessert. They
Yeah.
think they're candy. They're so sweet.
The only thing I hate with obviously tomatoes is just trying to stay on top of pruning, which I don't. I think I'm just at to the point where I'm just not really going to prune other than a hard prune, and then.
Yeah.
But man, staying on top of them if you're trying to do a 1 or 2 liter system, it's like, oh my gosh, the amount
Yeah.
of
They can get out of hand in a hurry.
yeah, I think I'm just at the point just to let them kind of go. That's what I did at the end of last year. I was over the pruning, and that was
Yeah.
just on one row. But so a few questions. I'm trying to figure out which direction I'm going to go in first, but um, I think for your farm specifically, I consider you like the ultimate bootstrapper. Um, I really don't. Because I'm probably on the opposite end of the bootstrapping. I'm like always like I don't want to buy the next like a tool I don't need, but I'm always I don't know. Let's just say I'll spend money if I feel like I can justify it. But I love the way you've kind of gone about it. So right now you don't have running water still, correct, on your farm?
Nope.
So fill in. So the people I know a little bit about your system, but for the people that don't know about it, fill us in a little bit on how do you irrigate your crops with no water, or
So
with no running water.
yeah. So first of all, so people don't think I'm an idiot for buying land that didn't have running water. When I went to buy this land, I called the city of Dallas and I was like, "Hey, I'm buying this property. Can I get water to it?" 30 seconds later, they typed it all in. I heard them type it and like, "Yeah, you can get water. That's not a problem." I'm like, "Okay, cool." You know, that's all I needed to know. Buy the land. I call them back like a month later. I was like, "Hey, I purchased this land. I need water." They're like, "Okay, let me get you a quote. I'll call you back." 2 days later, they called me back. They wanted $28,000.
Hold on, how far are you like your property's
So
road, right?
So what it is my farm. So my street is basically a cul-de-sac, and toward the end of my street, they just quit building houses. I don't know why, and they left 6 open lots that they never built on. And my lot is the third lot from the last house. So my lot is 200 running feet from the water line because they didn't run the water because there's no houses.
Oh gosh,
So they
okay,
want to charge me $100 a running foot to run me water. So there's $20,000.
hundred
And
dollars.
then they would charge me 8,000 for a meter and a spigot and all that, which I was thinking 8,000. I was cool with 8, even 10,000.
Yeah,
Like that's what I'd budgeted. And then they're like 28. And I did exactly what you just did. I'm like, wait, what? And then, so anyway, not to get off on a tangent, that's why I don't have running water. I did half my homework. I
Yeah.
could, I just didn't ask them how much to start with, which in hindsight, I'm kind of glad I didn't because I may not have bought that property, and it turned out to be such a perfect spot that I'm glad I didn't know that and I went ahead and bought it anyway. But so how I water. So honestly, I just said screw it, I'll figure it out. So first thing I did, there's a YouTube page I follow that's farming in the desert, like out in Arizona, there's one in West Texas. I just built a watershed. I got some old pallets, some 2x6s, put it at an angle, and then my dad had a ton of old sheet iron. I said, Dad, can I have that? And he's like, yeah. So I went to Bowie, my parents' place, and got the sheet iron and come back and I built it. It looks like a 9-year-old built it, but it's sturdy. It's downhill. I collect a ton of rainwater off of it.
Yeah.
I've got 55-gallon barrels. It's all connected to each other. So I get an inch of rain, I can get almost 200 gallons of water. Pretty easy.
That's a lot of
So
water.
that's one way. Then I've got a tough shed. It's kind of like my man cave. I go out there and spend the night just to get away, some peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And I built a porch on it last spring. So now I got water it's an extremely large porch for a little bitty tough shed. But I built it just so I could have the rain catchment. So I've got 2 500-gallon water totes that, fills up after, a couple of pretty good rains in the fall and the spring. That thing's completely full. And then when I run out of water, I just haul it.
Yeah.
5-gallon Ozarka bottles that you flip upside down. I bought a bunch of those for $2 and $3 a piece on Craigslist, and I hauled it last summer. And then when it got to 110, I threw my hands up and I said, "Okay, it's vacation. I'm done." And I kept my tomatoes alive, and everything else died. And then in September, I just started planting again and hauling water, and it worked. I did have a couple of purchases this spring or this winter that helped me a lot. I got a 550-gallon water tank that my dad found on, literally on the side of the road for like $100.
That's
So,
also pricey, man. That's impressive.
oh, they're usually $1 a gallon, maybe 90 cents a gallon. And then I just bought a 1,000-gallon water tank a couple weeks ago and actually started filling it up Sunday. So all totaled, I've got over 3,000 gallons of water that will be completely full by May 1st.
Yeah.
So that should get me pretty good ways into the summer and be able to, water the lettuce and everything and help me out a lot more.
Yeah. So how do you get? I've seen the system on Instagram, but for people listening, so from the tanks now, do you have some type of pump that is pumping that through your lines? Tell us a little bit about that, since you don't have electricity either at the property.
Yeah, I don't have electricity either. I've DIY'd it from YouTube, a solar system. It's got two 100-watt solar panels, feeds into a charge controller that feeds into a freight, Harbor Freight battery. All of it's from Harbor Freight. People can rag on their stuff, but it's cheap and it lasts a long time for me. And then so it's a small setup. It wouldn't run a whole lot of stuff, but it'll run a 110 horsepower or 1/10 horsepower water pump from Harbor Freight just fine.
Yeah.
So I have 250-gallon water totes, in my tunnels that I pump like from the 1,000-gallon water tank. When the 250 tote starts to get low, I'll pump it into that tote. And then water pump, I have another water pump that'll pump it from the 250 tote out to my drip lines.
Okay.
And everything's on drip except for my root crops. And then I'm old school. I stand there with a water hose and, water my root crops, which I don't grow anything but carrots and onions, really. I don't do radishes or beets anymore.
Yeah.
I was having some problems with insects eating the top of the radishes, and nobody wants radishes anyway. I mean, so it's not that big a deal.
It's
But
a
yeah,
small seller for sure.
yeah. I
People
mean,
that
so the
like
water
them.
pumps work great. The only problem I have with any part of it is when I'm out of town and I have to have someone to go do it.
Yeah.
Like trying to explain everything. I have plenty of people that are willing to help, but damn, like it just takes forever. Like, okay, this is how you turn on the solar system. Then you got to open the water tote. Then you got to turn on the pump. And, during the summer, the water pumps tend to get hot after, 5 or 6 minutes because that water is not cold. So it's not cooling the water pump.
Yeah.
So you got to check put your hand on there. If it burns your hand, turn it off, wait 10 minutes, turn it back on. I mean, there's definitely some drawbacks, but vacation's the only time I ever have issues with any of it.
Yeah. No, I get it. Trying to leave, and then if you have a process like that and you're trying to explain it, I get it. It makes it a little bit tough, but
Yeah.
I think it's an example though of like, making do with what you got, um, and just figuring it out as if you had to figure it out. Um, and I think that's the mentality I feel like you have a lot. I mean, even the tarps, it's like you could buy a silage tarp. They're not that expensive, but from day one, you've got an old billboard. So
Mhm.
it's like it works, it does the job, and you probably got it for either free or next to nothing, I'd imagine.
I paid $20 a piece for them, and they're 14 by 50,
Yeah, I mean,
and
so
they've lasted 6 years. They're about done though. I'm gonna have to retire them this year though. They're not gonna last another summer, but they've done what they needed to do. Like I don't. The only time I ever use them anymore is when I kill cover crop.
yeah, yeah, totally. Fill us in a little bit on um, so your grow room. You've got grow racks in there, correct?
Yeah, so I've got a 10 by 12 tough shed.
Okay.
Uh, I used to do it actually in this office on that wall right there, but and my wife didn't care. Obviously it doesn't smell. It's not doesn't look bad, but there's gnats because
Yeah.
there's water, and so the gnats were getting a little out of hand. So my wife was like, "Babe, like I support you with this stuff, but I can't deal with the gnats."
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay." So I went to Lowe's, and honestly, I needed to spend some money because of taxes anyway.
Yep.
So I went to Lowe's and bought a 10 by 12 tough shed. They come and built it like the next week. I insulated it. And now I have the 6 foot tall, 4 foot long, 18-inch deep racks that Lowe's sells. I've
Yep.
got 3 of those in there. I've got some really nice lights from Hort Americas. They're actual like indoor hydroponic lights
Okay.
um, that I bought. And what I usually do is when they germinate, I put them underneath those lights for 4 or 5 days. And it just makes them really strong. I don't have to worry about them being lanky or anything. And then after that first week, I'll move them to the cheap 4 foot LED. Just, I don't even know. I don't want to say they're garage lights, but they're not grow lights or anything. They're just 4 feet long LED lights. And it's amazing how perfect everything fits on those shelves. Like those shelves are 4 foot long. The lights are 4 foot long. You can fit 4 trays perfectly that are 18 inches deep on those shelves. So like I have 6 shelves on one rack. So I can run 75, 80, well, no, 75 trays at a time in there if I wanted to.
Which is a lot. I mean, we went back to that. So, because I feel like for most people, gardeners, even small scale growers, I just feel like that the rack system for all your seedlings and even microgreens, I don't know. I feel like it's attainable, it's easy, and you have a lot more control over it. Because like so last year we went to growing in a greenhouse. Well, that was a little bit new for us because when summer got here, you deal with a whole slew of new issues with the heat. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had a germination chamber, so we get the germination, but like it just comes with a lot more challenges, and then your starts aren't as good. Microgreens sure as heck don't grow near as good when it's 100 degrees in a greenhouse. So we went back to I built a little grow room in the garage because like what you said, my wife is I just don't it just makes a mess, walking trays through the house to a spare bedroom. So I built a little room for that very reason. Now I wish I built a little bigger because I only can fit like two. I could fit 3 racks in there, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on the rack system versus you know people leaning more towards greenhouses and stuff?
The biggest word that you said in that was control.
Yeah,
So like, especially because I probably 70% of my business is salad mix. I mean, that's my bread and butter.
yeah,
That's what I love to grow. And with salad mix, tomatoes, if you're off a week, who cares?
yeah.
If you're late getting them in the ground or early or, whatever. But with salad mix, it's such a high value crop that you want to be able to time it. Like you want to be perfectly timed. You miss a week, that's a whole week of sales that you miss with salad for me.
Oh
So
yeah, me too.
yeah, like I know for a fact, I always plant lettuce seeds on Sunday night, like in trays.
Yep.
So right now I'm planting 5 trays a week. 28 days to 32 days, depending on, mainly that's all the weather. Like if it's 28 days and it's going to be perfect for the next 2 weeks or the next week, I can transplant that. If it's going to be 100 degrees for 2 days and then it drops down to 90, okay, I can push it to 32 days and then get that tray in the ground. So like it's perfectly timed if you do it underneath grow lights.
Yep.
Like there's no question because you control everything.
Yep.
You put it in the greenhouse, if it's, cloudy for a week, you're screwed. Like that messes up your timing completely
Yep.
on when that's going to be ready to transplant. And to me, that's an issue that I took out for, a couple of $1,000s, which I understand that a couple of $1,000s is a lot of money, but it's never going to go. Like I've got the next 30 years, it'll be here when I'm dead.
Yeah.
That tough shed doesn't go away. So it's an easy cost for me to explain to myself that I can afford to do. I'll tell everybody that I consult with, get a grow rack system to start your transplants. Like that's pretty much the first thing I tell them to buy before I tell them to buy anything else. Is get a good
Yeah, you
grow
got
rack.
yeah. When it's just attainable, it's like you don't have to have a grow room. It's like, I mean, shoot, I could do them in the kitchen. It wouldn't be pretty, but like I could have 2 racks right here behind me. It's a controlled environment. All I had is my cost of the grow lights and the rack, and you know, the
And you
trip.
can even start with a rack and 3 lights. I don't know what you do, but I have 3 lights on mine. Some
Yes.
people just do 2, but I like 3. So for $80, well, now it's $100 for the rack and $100 for lights. You can start 8 trays a week.
Yep.
I mean, and that's easy. $200. I mean, you could even start microgreens for $200. You can start a microgreens business for $200.
Yep.
Okay, 250. But
No, yeah, I'm with you, man. It's and I feel like even what you're doing, it's like you can scale it at the same time too. So it's like, I mean, you could stay on that system without going to a greenhouse, which shoot, I mean, you can spend some money on a greenhouse with fans, and then if we're talking wintertime and you've got to heat it, I mean, it's just like you said, you have way
well,
more
my
control.
tomatoes, another thing about the grow room is my tomatoes. Like I start tomatoes December 26th every year from seed.
Yeah.
Been with the family for 4 straight days of Christmas, and the kids are wanting to play with the toys, and my wife's sick of me and wants to be by herself. So I go to my grow room and I just start planting tomatoes. And I don't think I heated it one time this winter. I don't think I heated it one time because the lights put off enough heat along with it being insulated that I didn't even put a heater out there this year now that I think about it. So you can't do that in a greenhouse. Like you can't start tomatoes December 26th in a greenhouse. They'll never germinate.
No,
So,
you're going to be spending some money on heat,
yeah.
not to
And
mention buying the heater.
yeah, like it's almost cheaper just to buy the grower to do a tough shed or something. I
Yeah.
love the tough shed, dude. Like I would live in there if I got divorced and had to live by myself. I would just live in a tough shed.
No, I know, man. It's a it's a I feel like the large greenhouse, obviously you need it at some point if you're just at massive scale, but man, I feel like the grow rack system, even doing it in a shed like that, insulate it, I don't know. There's something about it I like a lot more, like just way more control.
That's it. It's completely controlled. That's the most important thing out of this whole conversation about a grow rack system is you control everything.
Yep. And it's just you can start small and you can scale it. It's not you can, like you
Yeah,
said,
I figured it up. I could fit 150 trays in that grow room if I wanted to.
yeah.
Like it's not even close to being. It's about half full right now. So
That's
I could double
crazy.
production. I mean, in a matter of a day and $300 in racks and lights.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So let's talk a little bit about your sales. So how do you approach, selling your produce?
I sell it to people kind of like in a CSA style format, except they don't pay me up front. Can't do it. I don't know if it's because my dad raised me a certain way or whatever, but I ain't taking people's money up front. It's too stressful.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm on the same page with that.
can't do it. And plus I like the cash flow. Like every week I've got a list of people. That's kind of what that is back there, a list of people So I have two lists. I have week A, I have three lists. Week A, week B, and everybody else. So, and then it's just a list of people. On week A, they get this. Week B, it's a different list of people. Because I found, I don't know, unless you're a vegetarian, which I've got a few, you don't eat a bag of my salad in 1 week. If you do, you don't really want it the next week. You're kind of tired of it. And I don't ever want to force somebody like, hey, I'm dropping your stuff off. And they're like, oh God, I
Yeah.
don't want my salad this week. I want to be like, skip a week. And then on Thursday, like, hey, Mike's bringing salad on Sunday. I'm so excited. And getting customers is the simplest part of my business because I live in, I live in a 600 house subdivision right now. So I could just sell to my subdivision and make a full-time income.
Yep.
Not to mention, teachers that I teach with and another subdivision down the road, whatever. So in a nutshell, I just sell to people. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
I could go into great detail with you if you wanted to on how I got them and do all that, but
No, I mean, yeah, you basically network through through your work at the school, and then just word of mouth, people hearing about you, and just have kind of built up clientele, but essentially.
Yeah, community Facebook pages are a gold mine for people like me and you. So like we have a Greyhawk community Facebook page. It's mainly 80-year-old women complaining about somebody speeding down the street or
Yeah.
grandpa lost his dog. Have you seen this dog? Or complaining about something. That's all it is just a complaining. But 1 week after I moved in here, probably about 6 months, I had a bumper crop at the exact same time. Half my customers were out of town. Like I had probably 30 extra bags. I had no idea what I was going to do with. So I was like, let's put it on this Facebook page and just see what happens. I was hoping to get 2 or 3.
Yep.
At 35. And it was there less than a day. And I was like, holy crap. I looked at my wife and I was like, babe, I got 35 orders. And she goes, from who? I said, from people in Greyhawk, which is the name of my community. And she goes, oh, that's great. And then went on with whatever she's doing. But I thought, damn, this is perfect. So I literally that night went out and seeded up more salad mix, more lettuce. And I just had enough to feed everybody. And I told them, I don't have enough to get you any in the next week or two, but give me 6 weeks. And then from then it's just exploded. I'm concentrating so much more on salad mix now and finding out the ones that like the spring onions and the ones that like the kale. And I mean, if I get one new customer, that's probably another $15 a week for me, or every other week. But the kicker is that person's got a mom, a dad, an aunt, an uncle, a sister, a next door neighbor, that all I have to do is send out a text or, I do a lot of it on Facebook Messenger. I'm like, hey, I've got extra this week. You know anybody that wants it? You just tell them to, let me know and I'll bring it to them. Oh, just bring it to me. My sister wants it. I'll see her, at church Sunday. So then I get new customers that way. All I ever have to do is send out a message that says, hey, I've got extra this week. Do you know anyone who would like to try it? And I always give the first bag usually the first bag free.
Yep.
Okay, or I have done this before just because I do a lot of consulting now. And so I'm always trying to help figure out new ways for people because some people don't have a community Facebook page or whatever.
Yep.
So I went to Kroger with some really cheap business cards and I had my business card and literally I would just kept making circles around the produce aisle. And anyone that reached in to grab that $6 bucket of salad and slime at the bottom to them.
Yeah, it sucks.
And actually, and I have on the shirt, I walk by and I'm like, hey, I don't mean to bother you. This is what I do. Like I sell this. I'm right here in Forney. I deliver. Here's my card. Probably at least half of the people texted me or called me. Had my Instagram page on there. They shoot me a DM. Hey, this is awesome. How do I sign up? And after a point, I'm like, oh my God, I had 50 people this week sign up. I don't have any extra. And I really had like 2. But I did it more to see if it would work so I could help other people get customers. Eventually you get kicked out, but who cares?
Yeah, no, we've got a, speaking of the Facebook group, we've got one, which those are really helpful. Like for us promoting our farm store and stuff in our community, which they allow businesses to promote themselves. It's been super helpful, but yeah, going to the grocery store, I haven't attempted that one yet.
It's fun, dude. Like I love it. Like I'm just sitting there thinking I'm screwing Kroger right now. And they don't, I mean, I'm taking micro pennies away from them, but still it's just, it makes me feel good to know that I can grow as much as I want and I can always sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, are you harvesting exactly what you need? Like, do you have that order? Is that order like pre-ordered, so to speak? And then when you go out on your harvest day or whatever day you're harvesting, you know exactly how much you need.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. And I've gotten pretty good. Like for me, I know 6 heads of lettuce equals 1 bag on average, between 5 and 6. So if I know, and I also do it different. So I harvest and deliver every day. So
Okay.
like Monday, no, Sundays is like my Greyhawk community because I have plenty of time Sunday morning to harvest. So Sunday morning I'll harvest, 100 heads, and that is 13, 14 people. Come home, mix it up, throw it in my fridge in my garage. That evening, me and my daughter, we go deliver around the neighborhood. Monday is a school right down the road from me. They only get like 6 or 7, so I harvest about that much for that. So every day I harvest, I pack it, put it in the fridge, and then I deliver it during the day. And then I don't have anybody on Saturdays. That's the one day I don't deliver.
Yep.
So basically, I have 6 drop-off points. Basically,
Yeah. No, it works, man. I think the direct to consumer thing is I think people expect convenience and are used to convenience in today's age. So tell us your thoughts on like, different sales outlets like a farmer's market versus this style of a sales outlet of direct to consumer kind of delivering to them.
so I get a lot of pushback because I do a lot of speaking and stuff, and there's always 1 or 2 people that are like farmers markets are the greatest thing that they ever invented.
I hate them.
And all farmers do. We all hate them. Even the people who make $2,000 to $3,000 a week at them don't like doing them.
Yeah.
And they don't work in my context. Number one, I don't have Saturday mornings off. I've got kids. I've got soccer games. I've got all this nonsense.
Yep.
2, I don't want to do them. 3, I don't have the storage capacity to harvest everything Friday night. Like I don't have a cold storage. My cold storage is a double wide fridge.
Yep.
So which works perfect for my setup because I deliver every day. So I don't have to spend $30,000 on any type of cold storage unit at all.
Totally.
I spent $1,000 on an extra fridge.
Yep.
That's it. Took all the shelves out. Literally, it's just one big open area. Just shove everything in there. So no, I'm not a fan of farmers markets. Plus, in Texas and Arkansas is probably the same. In June and July, by 9 o'clock, it's 97 degrees, and nobody wants to go to a stinking farmers market.
Yep.
So, like, even if you've got customers, they're going to be gone. Like, why do I want to go and do all of that when I can do it my way? Deliver. I already have everything I have is already pre-sold.
Yep.
So I don't know. If you can do the customers, if you've got the customers on hand like I do, and I'm not saying my style is the greatest style ever. I'm just saying if you can do it my way, I think it's a way better style than to do a farmer's market.
Yep.
Now, if you want to do if I start a new business, I might do a farmer's market the first year and just cipher those customers and be like, look, I'm doing this for 4 months. July 1st, I'm going to start home deliveries. So if you want me to deliver, find 3 or 4 or 5 people in your neighborhood that might buy from me too. And then I won't go 5 miles to deliver 1 bag of salad.
Yep.
But they're going to tell 5 people. I guarantee it. They're going to find those 5 people to buy from me to make it worth my while to go over there. And then they're going to tell people, and eventually it's like just spreads like a virus.
No, it's crazy. I mean, because we operate the same way. I agree 100%. And half of our business comes from our farms, our like our honor system will farm store here on the farm, and the other half is from a delivery run through some densely populated areas. But we're the same way. It's like I'll get texts all the time. We live out this way, and I'm like, I don't even really say. I'm like, if I will say like, hey, if you could find 4 or 5 people, then it'd make it worthwhile. But like, some of these people are in way out subdivisions to where it's just like I could spend an hour just delivering that one
Yeah.
delivery.
Yep. I tell you another thing that works well for me is on Thursdays I have a business I deliver to. It's a local dentist office. It's a massive dentist office. There's like 20 people that work there, and there's like 9 people that buy from me there. So like it's not even, and schools are the same way. If
Yep.
you're starting off, schools are the #1 place you want to go to because There's usually 30 people looking to lose 10 pounds or more.
Yeah.
They get 25 minutes for lunch, so they don't really have time. They don't have any time to go get anything. You can tell them this is my marketing point. I'll bring you a salad. You can have a different salad every day of the week. You know, a fruit salad on Monday, a nut salad on Tuesday, egg white on Wednesday, taco salad on Thursday, and a tuna salad on Friday.
Yeah.
You got 5 different meals. I'll bring it to you on Monday morning. You give the secretary hers for free because she's the one that's going to have to distribute everything. You
Yeah.
make her your best friend, and before you know it, you've got 30 people at one location, and then you start saying, "Hey, I also have tomatoes." Well, there's an extra $4. Well, I also have spring onions. So then you're selling like maybe 12, $15 to 30 people, and geez, you just made $500 in one delivery.
Yeah. I've got a
Schools are gold mine with this stuff.
Yeah, dude. I coached football for a year at a school. That's another conversation. I needed the income at the time, and I played football there at the school. So my point is I do this. I've got a delivery run. One of them is at the school, and it's grown the same way. Just
Mhm.
people talk, and then it's another teacher. Hey, how do I get on your list?
Yep.
And that's just the way.
Anywhere like hospitals, I haven't done it yet because I don't have the supply. I'm dying to go to a hospital
Yeah,
because nurses and doctors are the same way teachers are. They're overworked. They don't have enough time for lunch, and there's a buttload of them in one location.
yeah.
So
Those big
there's a lot of ways you can make a lot of money other than a farmer's market. Plus, if you go to a farmer's market, there's probably two other farmers already selling it that has the customers that go there.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that. Like I'll get my own customers.
I'm with you, man, and I think it goes back to the control piece as well, like what we were talking about with the grow racks. I feel like I have I have very little control with a farmer's market of my sales. I can show
Mhm.
up every week and I can be faithful to show up and bring all my product. But if it rains or if there's an Arkansas Razorback game or if there's some other event going on, it's like, oh, okay, well, it was a nice morning, but no one showed up. Like there was some type of event, so people didn't want to come. And now you've got all
Exactly.
this product that's packed, like it's ready to go and ready to be sold. But now I'm sitting here with product that's like I can't sell this product next week.
And how hard did you work on Friday night to get all that ready to go?
Exactly. And then you woke up at the butt crack of dawn on your Saturday, on your
Hmm.
weekend, to go try and sell it. I feel like you don't have I feel like you have very little control with farmers markets. And I
Yep.
think it's just very inconvenient for the consumer.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you another thing, like again, I'm not trying to say my style is the best, but what I love about the way I do sales is I don't do anything on one day that I hate. I don't like you may not like harvesting. I harvest every single day for 10 minutes. I may not like planting. Like I don't like being bent over. I plant for maybe 30 minutes every single day.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like packing. I only have to pack 10 minutes every single day. I don't have to do it for 4 hours on a Friday night or a Saturday morning. So it also breaks up the monotony of farming. Like, oh, I hate Mondays because that's when I have to plant 200 heads of lettuce or do this or do that. I do everything a little bit every single day.
Yeah. Which I guess too with the way that so what time do you typically go? What time do you get to the farm in the mornings before you go to
My alarm is set for 4:09. No idea why that works. 4:09 a.m. But I think it's because I can get up, get my stuff together, get in the pickup and be at my farm exactly 4:30. Like it just happens. If I get up at 4:02, I'm still at my farm at 4:30. If I get up at 4:15, I'm at my farm at like 5. I don't know why 4:09 works, but yeah. So I get up early in the morning, I go to the farm. There from 4:30 to 6:45-ish. Then I go to school. I'm at school from 7:15 to 3:30. Come home, hang out with the kiddos, and if I need to go back at night, at 8 o'clock after they go back, it's fine. No big deal.
Yeah. So I think that it's an example though of to show like of I think a lot of people think that oh if I'm going to start a farm I've got to like go full fledged all in on this of like this is my only job or this and I think there's what word am I looking for? I think there's kind of like a glamorous aspect that people may view that as, but I just feel like having multiple income streams, especially when you're starting, is just incredibly crucial. Especially, I mean, because you want to be able to reinvest in your business, and
Mhm.
you know, and then if you're trying to live off that income as well, that makes it tough. I don't know.
So talking about, glad you brought that up. I started my farm with about 500 bucks, after the land. I bought the land with inheritance money my grandma left me 25 years ago when she died.
And this was to back up. This was a previous farm, correct? This
Yes,
was
this
your
was
old.
previous land. So I bought that with, with inheritance money, cost me 7,500 bucks. But and then after that, I'm a teacher with 3 kids. I didn't have a ton of extra money. So I started in the spring, and everything that I sold, I just kept that money all through the spring and summer. And so I could buy a tunnel, my first tunnel, in the fall. Well, now I could farm in the fall and the winter and make more money.
Yeah.
So I did that for 3 years. Excuse me, for 3 years before I ever took a dime out of the farm. I just kept reinvesting and buying more tunnels and building more beds and just kept reinvesting in everything. And after 3 years, other than saving every week for property taxes, I didn't really have to worry about reinvesting. Of course, I had seed costs and compost and stuff,
Yeah.
but after 3 years, I was able to take 100 bucks out here and do this, or 200 bucks and do that. It just gave me a little bit of extra, and now it's really nice because I'm able to invest in like the market and retirement. I'm able to pay off bills a little faster with the farm money and stuff like that. So it's given me a lot of leeway. But what you said, I think, is really key: is start with a side, start with a full-time job and do this as a side job and reinvest in yourself. I would never tell anybody to go out and drop $50,000 to start a farm.
Yeah.
I'd never ever tell anyone to do that. I don't care what your situation is. I've got 2 people I'm consulting with. One's in Baltimore, and he retires from the government in December of 25. So he's got 2 years,
Yeah.
this year and next year. And he's 55, great shape, loves gardening, found me on one of the YouTube videos and hit me up and said, I want to do it just like you did. He goes, I want to build it up. And then he's been working with me now for a year. And in 3 years, I want to go full time when I retire. I said, dude, that's exactly the timing I would tell you to do. Do 3 years. And he's doing great. He's actually ahead of schedule. He's already bought tunnels and making money, and like he's doing really well. So that's, and I think moving forward, a lot of retirement people are doing this because people are so tired of working at 55. They're 9 to 5, but they're still young enough that they feel like they can start something new.
Yeah.
So a lot of the consulting people that I have are actually fixing to be retirees that's going to have an income from retirement. They just want to know what they're going to do the rest of their life, and they love gardening. So why not make money doing it?
Yeah. 100%, man. Well, that's the thing. It's like it can segue them into building something. And let's say they're on a really conservative retirement, salary, or their social security or whatever. It kind of gives them that buffer too, and gives them something to enjoy, gives them some purpose. I mean, a lot of people that retire and don't do anything, they feel like a piece of crap, because they're like, I don't, they don't, they lose that sense of purpose and contribution.
Absolutely.
You
And
know,
this is such a great group of people. Like 5 years ago, I had friends and stuff, but I can honestly say the friends that I've made through farming are some of the best people I've ever met in my life.
yeah,
Most humble. I met Jesse Frost a couple weeks ago from No Till Growers,
yep,
and that guy's got a book published, 100,000 people follow him on YouTube, and
it's
he's
a
just
lot.
like me and you. Like me and you, like we had a conversation just like me and him, just like me and you're having right now. Most humble, down to earth guy. You holler at me if I can do anything for you, Mike. If I can answer questions for you, blah blah blah. Ray Tyler's the same way. James Clark down in San Antonio has turned into one of my best friends. Like we
He's coming
talk
on,
literally every single day.
he's coming on next week. I'm
Oh,
excited.
is he?
I love that guy, man.
He came up here and spent the night with me and went to the Jesse Frost thing. Um, so we had a blast, and we all want the same thing.
Yeah,
Like it's not a competition. I got some people like, are you worried about losing your customers? And literally, I look at them and say, there's 3 million people in Dallas. I need to sell to about 100 people a week to make good money.
yeah,
If you take my customers, you can have them. I'll go get new ones.
yeah,
There's no competition like this. It's not even about that. So I love the camaraderie, I text people all the time. Hey, what are you doing about this? What are you growing? Anything new I need to know about? And people hit me up all the time about stuff. So just love the community. It's so nice.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think that's one of the more special parts about it is, especially if you're intentional about it and you like get to know other farmers and ask them questions and approach it from a sense of like, I can learn something from that person because we all can, you know.
Mhm.
And it's like, I know I sure as heck don't know everything, and I don't want to act like I do because it's like, but no one. That's the beauty of farming, though. It's like even the Ray Tylers and Jesse Fro. I mean, all those guys. It's like they've been doing it a long time. Or JM. It's like
Yeah.
they're all still learning, though.
Yeah.
As
What's funny, what's also funny is Clark, I call him Clark, James down in San Antonio, he has the exact opposite model of me. Like he kills it at farmers markets.
yeah,
He kills it down there.
yeah,
Um, he grows, I think half his business is microgreens. I don't grow one microgreen. Like I don't even grow one. I don't even try.
dude, I
You know,
hate microgreens, but
I
I
mean, but he loves it.
yeah,
He loves it. He sells to restaurants. I'll never sell to a restaurant. He sells to grocery stores. I'll never sell to a grocery store. I deliver. He'll never deliver. To home people. So like we're best friends, but we have the most opposite marketing selling strategies you can imagine.
yeah. I think it just goes to show you there's a lot of there's a lot of ways to do it, and there's no one right or wrong way. It's just what works for you. Because I
Right.
mean, if I could go to if I could go to a market and sell $5,000 of produce on a Saturday, I'd probably be there.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, I
so
would too. I don't know. Probably not. I
I don't
mean,
know
like,
either.
it's,
I mean, the thing is all like we don't have a good market. Like our best market's like an average of like $500-600, and it's like
yeah,
that's not worth it
yeah.
to me at all. So um, yeah, man, I'm with you. It's so like for people that reach out to you and are like, hey, I want to get started in this. Like, where do you start with them when you're someone that wants to just get going, but maybe they don't have maybe they don't have 30 grand, that they have set aside as a budget to start. Like, what do you tell them?
First, I find out if they have land. Most of the people have land or they have an idea. Like, I don't think anyone's ever called me. It's like I don't even know where I'm going to get land because I mean, you got to have somewhere to grow.
Yeah.
So if they've got land, I always ask them, you going to grow? Is the soil good enough to grow in the ground, or do you have to do raised beds? Because I have to do raised beds because I'm sitting on 110% clay.
Yeah.
So like my entire farm is 1x6s in raised beds, and then 2x12s for my carrots. So that's the second question. And most of them have decent enough soil, they think, so they can grow in. So the first thing I tell them is I send them I send them two videos. I send them Curtis Stone's salad mix video and then his video about summer lettuce,
Yeah.
like how to grow in the summer. And because I always tell people, lettuce is your gatekeeper.
It is, dude. Oh my gosh.
Once you get a new customer with salad mix, then you say, "Hey, I've got tomatoes. Hey, I've got some radishes. Hey," because if you start off growing radishes and beets, you're going to get zero customers.
Yeah.
You're going to get none. But if you grow salad mix, everybody eats salad mix, and then there's stuff. You can put tomatoes on your salad. You can put cucumbers on your salad. You can put, chop onions up and do salads with onions. So I always tell people, learn how to grow salad. That's the first thing you do. I don't care what you want to do. If you want to make money farming, you grow salad mix first. And
Yeah.
then after that, and then the second, as we get deeper in the conversation is what do you think your sales outlet's going to be? Because that's going to determine a lot more. Because if you're going to do a farmer's market, then yeah, go ahead and do radishes and some beets and, just to fill the table up, but these are the things you're gonna make money on. You're gonna make money on salad mix, tomatoes, carrots, cucumbers, zucchini. Like you're not gonna make a ton of money on zucchini and cucumbers, but you gotta have them at your table if you're gonna do a market.
Yeah.
And if you can do microgreens, and you want to do that, great. Go call James because I got no help for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's an option. And then from there, it's just, after we get that initial thing set up, then it's, okay, try Muir, Red Cherokee, Starfighter, try some Salanova, even though it's stupid expensive.
Yeah.
Grow this mix, find out what you like, what your customers like. Yeah, I quit growing Salanova because I had everyone tell me they didn't like the texture of this What type of lettuce is Salanova? The razor,
The,
not razor edge,
the green
but
sweet crisp.
yeah, the sweet crisp, serrated. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't grow. I only have one. I grow
It's
Presigo now. That's the only. I think Salanova owns Presigo.
yeah. So I don't grow any sweet crisp anymore. I
Yeah.
just stick with Muir and Red Cherokee because it does. The people like the It's more palatable for people. So I tell them go this group of lettuce first, and then let's go from there. And then after that, they kind of figure it out, and we evolve into the nuances of each of their own individual farms and what they want to be.
Yeah, I mean the reality though with the spring mix is like, yeah, it's a gateway crop, but it's also like it gives your farm cash flow. I mean,
Yeah, instant.
yeah, I mean it is a moneymaker, and it's like it's the foundational crop. It's like, I mean, you can have bunching greens, but like a lot of people don't. There's not a big. At least I don't have a ton of people that buy bunch kale and bunch rainbow chard. Like
No.
I just have a select handful of people that buy that I grow it for, like you. But everyone buys spring mix.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. And when and the thing about it is all their friends grow salad mix. So when they're eating salad or they have friends over or they're eating a salad at lunch, like, oh, that looks so good. Where did you get it? And they tell their friend, like it's an easy conversation piece too, I found.
and there's just really similar to like just like the tomatoes. It's like, man, there's really not a comparison to the big tub of lettuce you buy at Kroger or Walmart compared to what you can grow and get off of a farm like yours and mine and other people that we're talking about. I mean, it's not only does it last a lot longer, but the taste is just
It's fresh. Like
it's
they can eat it 2 weeks later and it's not slimy.
yeah.
That's the biggest takeaway that I get from everybody is Mike, this was pushed behind the milk and I thought my husband ate it all and then I found it and it was still good 2 weeks later.
I know it's cool hearing that, man. I always tell people, I'm like, hey, as long as it stays fresh or doesn't get a lot of moisture in there, I always tell people like if you want to keep it a long time, throw a dry paper towel in there. But I'm like, it'll last you 2 weeks. I've had people tell me it's lasted them 5, but I don't tell people that or sell them that it'll last them 5 weeks. But
Oh no. Because
uh,
they're happy with two.
exactly.
They're ecstatic with two because they're used to 4 days from the Walmart stuff.
No, I know, man. I'm ready to like because we hadn't had spring mix in like a month, and I'm like, God, I cannot wait to have some back just for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just God, it's so freaking good. Yeah, I mean, it's a I feel like it's just a crop that you have to grow as a small farm. Like I really don't like what else are you going to grow to make money? Because I have some like I talked with like someone today. He's like, "What crops are grow?" I'm like, "It's spring mix. Like you've got to master that."
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Exactly what I say.
I don't know what else like spring mix, and then yeah, grow carrots. Obviously, the carrots are difficult. At least getting them out of the germinated and going. You can do like radishes, but I'm like turnips and beets is like I don't eat either one of those.
Mm-mm.
Um, Radishes can be tough to sell, but I just feel like the salad stuff, like your tomatoes, your cucumbers, you can do some bell peppers. Like you really don't need that many crops to really be pumping some produce.
So one thing you might find interesting, and it's again because of my sales model that I can do this. I'm actually cutting down on the number of crops that I'm growing drastically. This summer it's salad mix, tomatoes. I'm planting carrots every week now for another probably 4 or 5 weeks. I'm about to build a new bed, another 60-foot bed that I can plant more carrots in. Uh, and then I just planted more onion bulbs. So I'll have onions because they do pretty well in the heat, up until it gets stupid, like 110. So I'm not doing hardly any peppers. I'm gonna do a few just because I've got them on hand. Not doing cucumbers. I'm gonna do a few zucchini, but I know they're only gonna last a few weeks because the bugs just
Yeah.
destroy them with me. So I'm not even going to worry about actually selling it. If I have some to sell to my favorite customers that, are my best ones, great. But then in the fall, I'm doing exactly what I did this year. Salad mix, onions, carrots, kale, and some collards.
Yeah.
And I'm just cutting way down on everything. And I love Joel Salatin. I love that guy. I listen to everything he says. The only thing that I ever disagreed with him about anything he's ever said is he said it's easier to get $100 from 10 people than it is to get $10 from 100 people.
Mm.
I'm just the opposite. Like I want to sell to 100 people and get $10 from them instead of sell to 10 people and get $100 each. So that's my business philosophy. More customers buying, each of them buying less of my product, because that makes it easier for me to grow. I don't have to worry about growing 10 different things to fill out a CSA box.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the I don't want to say the hard part, but the aspect of like you've got to keep it interesting for people. And but the catch 22 is like, okay, me growing some radishes, which we simply grow the radishes, we'll top it and we put it in a container in the fridge in the farm store, which makes them last a lot longer.
Yeah.
But it's like our radish shells, like how much money do we actually make from growing radishes? It's
Yeah.
probably pretty minimal. But there's that aspect too of like, okay, well now that person wants a little bit of variety, but then it's like, is that worth the bed space? Is that worth your time? Or should you have just gotten another customer, which is kind of more of your philosophy of I'll just grow less and just go get another customer.
Yeah. And on top of that, the stuff that I grow, they want every single week. Like they don't need a different variety of salad. Now my salad does change up from your, red Russian kale, maybe a couple weeks in the summer when it's really hot, just to be a filler. Or like, so the salad does change up a little bit, but they're gonna eat it no matter what it is.
For sure.
They're gonna eat tomatoes because they're delicious. They're gonna eat carrots because they're delicious. Now, if I was getting an eggplant every week, of course, that would not be a good business move. So I understand what you're saying about variety, but the variety of what I grow, they don't really care because
Yeah.
they're gonna eat every week.
Yeah. And I think that's probably way more the case with people that are doing tried and true CSAs. But I'm with you. It's like, man, the people that buy lettuce every week and carrots and other staples, it's like they buy them every week because they eat them every week. It's like
Yeah.
every week they eat salads. I mean,
And they're healthy. Like they know, like people buy from me because of the health benefits too. Like
yeah,
they actually tell me they feel better. Like I know this is TMI, but I think it's funny. I delivered to this one lady about 3 weeks straight, and she's one of those older ladies, and she no filter, doesn't give a
completely.
damn.
Yeah.
I dropped it off, and I said, "Hey, how are you doing?" She goes, "Mr. Bell, I poop so much better these days."
Oh my
I
god.
didn't know what to say. I was like, "Oh, that's great." She goes, "And the only thing I did was switch to eating your salad mix. It's so much more fun." It's like,
Oh my
okay,
god, dude.
okay. Well, you have a nice night, ma'am.
Good to see you.
I sort of walked off.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. So
No,
are you still growing like when the summer heat hits, are you still growing or are you just like, man, I'm just taking a month or two off?
when it gets above 105 in the forecast for a week straight, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'll cover my beds. I'll keep my tomatoes alive. They go dormant, which I don't know if people know. In the South, when it gets 100 above 102, 103, if you keep your tomato plants watered, they don't produce, but they don't die. They just go dormant. They use all their energy to survive instead of reproduce. So I just keep them watered. I'll deep water them 2 or 3 times a week. And then as soon as it drops below 95, they explode. And then you get your fall harvest, out of it all the way through sometimes Christmas if it's not a crazy cold, fall.
Yeah.
So I'll keep my tomatoes alive. Everything else, I tarp my beds. And then what I'll do is like once a week, I'll untarp my beds and give it a good water just to keep because I don't till anything. I'm obviously no till with my raised beds.
Yeah.
And when if I terminate lettuce, I don't pull it out of the ground. I take a knife and I cut it all off, leave the root ball in the ground. So for the organic matter, you
Yeah.
don't kill the soil and all that no-till stuff. So I'll water it just to keep the soil life alive. And then in the fall, usually September 1st, this last year was absolute hell on earth because it was like still 98 in the middle of September. So it was a little rough, but usually September 1st is when I plan on having lettuce to put back in the ground. So I'll untarp a bed, You know, I started lettuce August 1st because most of my transplants are 28 to 30 days from seed to the time I transplant. So August 1st, I go in and start seeding lettuce again. September 1st, I like to transplant, pull the tarps off, transplant, and then get my season going again. So mid-July and all of August, I don't do, a whole lot of growing at the farm. Now if I look up and it's 101, 99, 98 at the end of July, it hadn't hit 105 yet, I'll grow as long as I can, but I'm not fighting lettuce at 110. Not
Yeah.
gonna do it.
I feel like the summer, towards the end of the summer, they just, July, August, I don't know. I feel like it can be just really demoralizing and discouraging. Because the thing is too, is like if I need, let's say I need 50 pounds of spring mix a week. Well, now I've got to basically double my workload because my yields are cut in half. So it's like I've got to
Mhm.
plant now double of what I have been planting to obtain the same yield. I don't know, man. I just feel like it can be it's a grind when it hits that point.
Yeah, and one of my biggest worries is sometimes lettuce looks great and tastes bitter and awful.
Yeah.
Like it can look perfectly fine. You cut it and then you deliver a bag, and all of a sudden, 2 hours later, you got 15 people texting you. This is disgusting. Why is it so bad? Even though it looked perfect. So that's another reason why, like, I don't even because it can look great and then it can be bitter. So, and
Yeah.
I need a break. Like, I got family, they want to go on vacation. I always tell the wife, plan vacation the last week of July, and I'll make it work if if the farm's still going, but more than likely I'm shut down.
Yeah. No, like we went to the beach in September this last year, and it was like, but I was already just like, I'm freaking over it. At the end of August. But I agree. It was super helpful just to be able to get away. Which now,
Yeah.
I mean, I wrestle with too. I'm like going into after this year, we're probably gonna spend some money on some hot. Like if we're in it for the long haul, if we feel like, hey, let's do this for another 5 years, like we're probably gonna spend some money on some hot, at least one high tunnel. But then I
What
could
are you
ask,
thinking about getting the hot tunnel?
do what?
Where are you thinking about getting the hot tunnel from?
Scenic Acres. That's who Ray was recommending.
Okay.
You can do like the ridge vent, and I think their greenhouse. He had them build their greenhouse, which they do hoop houses too. And but you can customize it to where like they'll do the ridge vent and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
At least that's who he recommended. Um, but that's probably not till this next probably winter anyway. But my point is like, okay, well then you feel the pressure of like, which I want to grow in the winter. Well, obviously you got to have all those crops in the ground before the short and cold days, but I don't know, but then it's like I like the winter off. Like having the winter off has been so revitalizing because I'm like, man, I'm excited to farm that like again this year.
Yeah. See, I'm just the opposite. I love farming in the winter. I love it. Like,
I'm just saying having a break. Like, yeah, I like as long as I can get the crops in the ground. I just don't. I haven't had enough tunnel space to really.
that's true.
That's
That
been
makes a huge difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
See,
I'm
go
saying
ahead.
having a break though is nice. Ultimately, is what I'm getting at. Like,
My break is the end of July and August.
okay.
And then I push, like, I made more money in this January than I made my entire farming career, which is nuts because all I had was salad, onions, and a few carrots, and but I just doubled down because I learned last year if I can have every space that I have available with lettuce planted by Thanksgiving, I can harvest all the way through January and February.
Yeah.
So like literally every square inch either had onions, carrots, or a head of lettuce in it. And some of it was 5 weeks, 6 weeks old in the field, but it was perfectly fine because it grows so damn fast. I mean, so damn slow.
Yeah,
Like it
that
never
is the beauty.
bolted, nothing. So I'm even thinking next year I'm gonna put in another bed and do, another 15 to 20% more lettuce next year for Thanksgiving planting. I call it Thanksgiving planting when everything's planted by Thanksgiving because I know I can sell it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the
parts.
thing is you've got it in the ground and it's not like this turn and burn if I got to plant, transplant, flip beds every single week like you do in spring and summer and fall or in your peak season.
Yeah.
but obviously you got to get it all on the ground, but then you're kind of just, getting harvest.
Yeah, the December and January was so fun for me and so easy because all I did was just go make money. Like I didn't have to transplant, I wasn't weeding, didn't even really water hardly at all. Literally, all I did was walk over there, harvest, and leave. It was amazing. It was like so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me not to plant the whole damn farm next November. Like just literally 930-foot beds of lettuce and be done with it.
Yeah.
I think I think I did cover, yeah, I did this year because we got down to like 6 degrees. Those couple that we had real polar vortex. So
Yeah.
when it gets that low, I throw an extra row of plastic over each bed just to give me that extra layer of protection. You know, because tint burn doesn't taste bad, but it looks bad.
Yeah.
So that extra layer of plastic I've learned really keeps the tint burn from being too bad. You know, especially on the Muir that I grow. The Cherokee, you can't ever tell, but the Muir, the plastic extra layer keeps it from being tip burned. So that's a little bit of work, but
Yeah,
not.
that's the time I hate it in the winter. But because I think we had kind of, well, we have sclerotinia in one of our tunnels, unfortunately, and I think that was kind of brought on from that polar vortex, and just no airflow for. It was cold for like a solid week,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
and I think it kind of bloomed or whatever you call it. I'm not a soil expert on sclerotinia, but
yeah. I know what you're talking about though.
um,
That sucks too. That's one of my biggest fears because my drainage is so bad at that farm, and it's even though I have raised beds, that water, if it doesn't drain perfectly, it will literally seep up from the clay into my raised beds because the water's just looking for somewhere to go.
oh my god,
It's almost like it's watering the beds from underneath when it like because we'll get like an inch in one day,
yeah,
and if it does coming off those tunnels, if that's not perfectly sloped downhill and it goes, I lost maybe 10% a few weeks ago from just root rot because the soil was just so wet, and it was just because that water just literally soaked up from underneath. It was
you're
pissed me
dealing
off.
with like straight clay. You got a ton of clay.
Yeah, during the the wet season it's swamp. It's a pure swamp. During the dry season, you break your ankles, in the cracks that are 6 inches wide.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're straight sand. Like I have so much freaking sand. It's ridiculous. Uh,
Yeah,
but every ground everybody's ground is different.
yeah. Nobody has perfect soil.
Yeah. I wish I did.
Oh, I said screw it. I'll make my own.
Yeah.
So I just brought my own in.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like, man, most people, I'm like, you got to bring in a crap load of organic matter and compost or whatever else. Like if all your soil's no soil and straight rock, or you just got to approach it, as the best you can.
I got so lucky. There's a nursery right down the road from me that has the best compost in Dallas area. It's a
I
mile and a half
remember.
from my farm.
Yeah, I remember. I think, do you get it in bags?
No, no, I don't get it in bags.
Maybe
No,
you
what you're
get
talking about is
it
the
in
worm
bags.
castings.
Oh, you're getting the worm casting. No,
Yeah,
and that's from what's the name of it?
Magic Worm Ranch down in
Legend.
Plantersville. Yeah, I buy 1,000 pounds every spring.
I love worm castings, man.
Dude, this guy, his name's Gary, nicest guy in the world. But whatever you're passionate about, he's 10 times more passionate about worm castings. And I didn't realize like it was that much of a science, but he's figured out what to feed his worms to give them the most nutritious castings.
Wow.
And he's so passionate about it. He actually bought castings from the other 10 largest worm casting producers in the United States and had all 10 of them tested and then had his tested. And when you go to pick up your bag, he'll show you the other 10, and he's higher in every single category of nutrients than all 10 of the other guys. And I'm not talking like 2%, like 30, 40, 50% higher in nutrition than everybody else's castings. And he says, because I know what to feed them. And he told me one time what it was. It was some mixture of like tea bags, colostrum, and something else. Like it was the most bizarre. He's like, but my God, they make the most nutritious castings ever. And they really do. It's my only fertilization except for a little soybean meal.
That's crazy.
It's the only fertilizer I use.
Really.
Yep, I buy 1,000 pounds every spring. Go down there, he loads it up in the back of my pickup with his tractor, and then I go home and scoop it out in 5 gallon bags, 5 gallon buckets.
Yeah. So when you like for example, like when you're transplanting a bed of lettuce, how much castings are you laying down, quote unquote, as your fertilizer?
So if it's a bed that's well established, I'll take a 5 gallon bucket and spread it out about 15 feet.
Okay.
So with that 3 pounds a foot, you know,
Okay.
for a 36, I have 36-inch beds. For a
Yep.
36-inch bed, if it's a new bed, I'll do a pound a foot, a pound of running foot.
Okay.
And then after that, it's just basically a sprinkle.
Yep.
But like, if I do tomatoes, I'll take a half a solo cup. It's very scientific measurement. So half a solo cup, and I'll put it in every hole. And then I'll put the tomato plant in the hole. I'll take another half of it and put it on top.
Okay.
That way, those hairs on those tomato plants, they can get those roots started with worm castings that's sitting on top of the root ball. And that's the only fertilization I ever use. Like midsummer, I might put this concoction that my nursery sells on there that's all organic, like bat guano and molasses and all this other stuff. But other than the worm castings and that's all I ever use.
Yeah. No, I love, man. Worm castings they're gold, man. There's
They
a
really
reason.
look like. What's really cool though is I always get the freshest bag that he always has. So because he knows what I'm going to do with it, like how I use it. And again, all my farm is all compost that I brought in. So there's no worms in there.
Yeah.
And it's solid clay. So I don't think there's any worms down in that clay. But my farm, I've noticed the last year is slowly beginning to get African night crawlers, which is the worms that he uses, because the eggs are in the worm castings from the worms. And they filter their way through into the bag, and then I take the worm castings and throw it out, and then the eggs hatch, and then I'll have not, African night crawlers in my soil
Yeah. So you're not
from
only
the
getting
worm
the
castings.
fertilizer, you're getting that bonus too.
Oh yeah, like it's the best money you could ever spend for your farm is to go get a 1,000 pound bag.
Yeah, man. I know we just ordered a bunch of stuff from, it's not worm castings, from Morgan Composting. It was shipped in. It was pricey. Their seed start, well, because I've done the uh for our seed starting. I've done exactly what you've done, which I got it from you, which is the cocoa cord worm castings for seed
Mhm.
starting. But we got their seed start mix shipped in along with their. We got like a custom blend fertilizer, but it was all freaking expensive. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
It was pricey, but we'll see. It'll be a test run this year to see if it's worth it. Um, but yeah, man, I think that when it comes to the fertilizers and stuff and the sprays, like I feel like it can get out of hand. Like you can get kind of crazy with foliar feeds and
yeah.
this spray and that spray and um you know, but
If you did, like you said, I was like the classic bootstrap farmer. I'm also the classic keep it simple, stupid
yep.
farmer.
And that's what I was gonna say. I was like, that's just incredibly simple, and it
Yeah,
worked.
yeah. I don't fix anything that's not broke. Like, hey, you should try this. I'm like, no, no. What if it screws up my whole farm? My farm is producing just fine.
Yeah. So what's the future vision? I know that after you retire, which you said is 3 years away or 5 years away.
I got 6 after this year.
Okay, so 6 more years. What's kind of the vision for the farm at that point?
So it can go one or two ways. I can just keep doing better and better and getting better with what I have. Or if I ever have the chance to buy the lot next to mine, I would love to buy that. And I've got plenty of people that's already told me, I'll buy it, then you can pay me.
Yeah,
Because I mean, I'm a teacher. I'm probably not going to get a loan for an empty, for that land because it's getting so outrageous. But
yeah,
I do have some wealthy friends that's already told me if that lot comes open, tell me I'll buy it, then you can make payments to me.
yeah,
Okay, great. So if I could get that lot, I'd love to expand. Um, if I can't ever get that lot for some reason, I'll end up finding some more land. You know, I'll have another lot somewhere.
yeah,
Whether I lease it from somebody, it's amazing how many times I drive down the road. I'm like, I can put a tunnel right there. I could put a tunnel right there. Like, and all I got to do is have the time to be able to go knock on the door and say, hey, and just hold my phone and be like, this is what I want to do with that spot right there. I'll give you fresh vegetables every week and I'll pay your water bill.
Yep.
And I know people are going to jump at it. That's what's great about Texas is yes, land's expensive, but people also buy acre lots and then they hate mowing the acre lot.
Yep.
So,
100%. Yep. Not to mention that it's just, yeah, you've got a lot of people where it's like, dude, they've got a massive amount of space that they mow, like all they do is mow it. I feel like churches can be like, I feel like that's an undertap one too, because a lot of churches have massive, like, it's like, holy, like we've got one down the road, and I'm like, dude, I swear their church sits on like 30 acres, and they
yeah,
pay someone to mow it. I'm like, this is insane.
yeah. No, I've said that for years. People, churches in Dallas, they buy 2 acre lots because they think they're going to be the next 50,000 person congregation and they've got 100 people.
Yeah.
And I have no problem going up. If I just had the time knocking on somebody's door or meeting the preacher, be like, hey, I'll give your pantry all my extra produce every week.
Yeah.
You can give it to whoever you want. I'll mow everything so you don't have to mow it, pay somebody. Like there's so many ways you can work with people that own houses with big lots or businesses that own lots and really to think about it, you only need a 14 or 16, 18 foot wide by 100 foot long spot and you're in the farming business.
Yep.
Because you can make a lot of money off of 100 foot, 300 foot beds.
I know. I think that kind of goes back to, because I actually had a call with a guy today, and he's just starting, like has done nothing, and I'm just like, dude, just start small.
Yep.
And I think that we, even our idea of starting small can sometimes still be like this big thing, quote unquote, this big operation that we kind of have envisioned. It's just like you could start with a 14 by 50 foot tunnel, or
Yeah.
14 by 100. I mean, 4 beds, and you can get going.
I always tell people in the spring, like if they question it, don't even buy a tunnel. Just start in the spring, make you 100 foot bed. Then I tell them how to do the math on how to do succession planting with lettuce, divide it up into 5 beds every week, plant it, 5 different sections of that 100 foot bed, plant it every week, get the hang of it. And then if you love it in the fall, then you buy a tunnel. That way you don't, drop $2,000 on a tunnel and then find out, I don't really like this. Start in the spring, grow a little bit, and then buy a tunnel.
And you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to have. I mean, for most people, depending on your climate, it's like you really don't have to have a tunnel. It's nice in the shoulder seasons, but it's like you can grow it out in the field, just like you're saying. It's like, you
To
know,
start with, yeah.
we grow all of our. I mean, all of our lettuce this year will be grown out in the field. You
See,
know.
that makes me nauseous. Like that's scary. Like I can't. I don't grow anything outside of tunnels. Like
Yeah,
everything I grow is inside a tunnel.
it's not ideal.
I. But the tunnels also help keep things clean.
Yeah,
Like I don't wash my salad mix
yeah.
before I deliver it. It's always perfectly clean. So there's a lot of things that the tunnel does that makes it worthwhile more than just the heat or the cold.
Hmm. No, I'm with you, man, and that's which we still grow everything in fabric, even in tunnels when we do grow it. But yeah, I mean, growing out in the field with no landscape fabric, oh my gosh, that'd be filthy freaking lettuce. That'd be a
Yeah.
nightmare. Um, but yeah, I want more tunnels. I don't, again,
I
similar to you, I just don't want to go. I'm not willing to like go leverage myself to buy more tunnels. It's just like I'll just wait another year, and at that point, I would like to build a hoop house, but we'll just see.
if you think you can buy a high tunnel, definitely wait and spend the money on a high tunnel. God, those are so nice.
Dude, I know. Well, that's why, because I was talking with Ray about it on a group call the other day, because I was like, man, because have you looked at the prices of like Farmers Friend Tunnel? I mean, they're getting to the point where it's just like, man, I'd rather spend like a little bit more money and get like a 34 by 110,
Mhm.
hoop house with a ridge vent. And I know that structure is gonna be so freaking solid. And you get all the air mass. I don't know. I feel like at this point it's like, now I know you can get the base model like with the strap purlin Farmer's Friend for less, but I think like, I mean, you're over $4,000.
Yeah.
You know.
So I don't know how much you know about them, but I've started working with Bootstrap a lot. Bootstrap
Uh,
Farmer out of Paris, Texas.
Yeah.
And but I was on several podcasts out that way with them,
I
and
listened to it. It's a great one. I've really started listening to their podcast a lot. It's really good.
yeah, Nick does a great job. And so while I was there, I got to see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And they make some great products for like do it yourself, like bend your own pipe, do your own tunnel, your own hoop house. They got some. Have you seen their low tunnels?
No.
So all it is a setup, and it's just made out of you buy almost everything, but they send you the little pieces that put it all together that make it perfect.
Okay.
And I'm gonna look into that. I've got one spot where it won't fit a big tunnel, but it'll fit a small tunnel. When I say a small tunnel, it's like a low tunnel.
Yeah.
But they made the pieces that connect the ridge pole, that connects the ridge pole of the low tunnel
Okay.
all together. So you don't have to worry about the wind. They've got the clamps that you can pull the plastic up on the side and clamp onto electrical conduit. So I'm going to build one of those. I know next winter for more carrots,
Okay.
but Farmer Springs got amazing stuff, but their prices have gotten insane, which is not their fault. I
No,
understand.
they've got to make money. They got to be in business. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, inflation's killing everybody on everything.
Yeah.
So, if you're watching this and you got some, you're thinking about doing it, but you don't want to spend your money, but you don't mind doing the work to build your own tunnel and get all the hardware, check out Bootstrap Farmer because I'm super impressed with their stuff. And they make it for people just like me who don't have a whole lot of money to start with, but they want people to get started.
Yeah. No, it's a very viable option for people that are, like you said, it's like I can bend my own hoops. I can source some of the materials locally, and it costs a lot less. Because yeah, I mean I know those farmers I mean, shoot, dude, in 2019 when we were trying to start our deal in Colorado, like I had actually had two that were on a truck, 200-foot tunnels, and I think at that time, gosh, maybe they were like under $2,000 a
Yeah,
piece.
they were about 1,800 because I bought one that year.
And now it's like, dude, those would cost you. I mean, yeah, you're looking at close to probably 10 now for those same tunnels.
Yeah.
Give or take. I mean,
Yeah, they're probably closer to 5 or 6, but I mean, nonetheless, it's still a lot more money than it was. I mean, it's not. You can drop 2 grand on a tunnel and not be a big deal. You can't drop 6 grand and not be a big deal. I don't care who. Well, unless you're Bezos or something, but
yeah.
but anyway.
No, man, I'm with you, dude. There's just so many ways to go about it. It was a good chat, dude. I appreciate you taking the time to talk farming. I like talking to people that are kind of doing exactly what we're doing or what I'm doing with the farm, and it's just I don't know, because everybody's just got different perspectives, different way of doing things. So appreciate you coming on and chatting, dude.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it. I'd do it anytime.